Hey there, everybody. Pete Pardo here from Sea Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of In the Prog Seat. It's Tuesday night. We've got the gang all here. Let's introduce them before we get started on our topic. We've got from upstate New York, Mr. Eric Porter. We've got the professor of prog, owner of the Laser's Edge and Sensory Records, Ken Golden. We've got from the Bronx, New York, Chuck Alvarez. Our center square tonight, Mr. Near Fest himself from Pennsylvania, Chad Hutchinson. We've got the 1-2 punch from Chicago. We've got Louis Nasser and George Lamy. And then, of course, all the way from Scotland, Mr. Stephen Reed. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. I made it tonight. We really apologize for not being able to bring you the Hudson Valley Squares last night. It's been a rough couple of days for me with the worst allergies I've ever had in my life. We had a couple other people not feeling good yesterday and a couple others who had other things going on. So we decided to hold off the Squares till another week, but we were not going to hold off this particular episode because we know this is the one you've all been waiting for, right? So just like we did on the Hudson Valley Squares a couple of weeks ago, songs that suck from bands we love. So I asked everybody here to pick their 3 favorite prog bands, absolute favorite as best they could. I know that's hard sometimes, and pick one song from each that they really don't like at all, that they probably say suck, the big one. So we've all done that. We're going to go one band at a time, go all the way around and round. So Eric's going to start us off. Then we're going to go myself, then Ken, then Chuck, then Chad, then Louis, then George, then Stephen, and back around again, and then back around again. So Eric, kick us off with your first selection of the day.
All right. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
And as Pete said, these are definitely favorite bands, but that can change from week to week. We all know that. And with this is kind of fun. I know this, people enjoy this. And as I was thinking about it, I think, Ken, you said it before we got on, there really wasn't a lot of thinking to do. These came pretty easy. So the first band for me is Camel. And this is a double whammy because the keyboard player at the time in the band, and I tried to think about, I didn't want to go like Genesis Invisible Touch. I wanted to take the era where the bands were kind of at their best and still pick something, because Invisible Touch, something like that would obviously be too easy. So the reason why this hurts so bad is the keyboard player on this album is in Happy the Man, which is also one of my favorite bands. So my first choice is from the album I Can See Your House From Here, and it's a song called Remote Romance. And it was written by Kit Watkins and Andy Latimer, and it's awful.
Yeah, it really is.
I love Camel, but that is a horrible song. So go listen to it, because I don't have anything else to say about it. I probably should have had this number 1, because it's probably the worst song I have of the 3.
It's the turd on the album.
Oh, it's the turd of the 70s, as far as I was concerned. So that is my number 3, Camel, Remote Romance.
There you go. We're off to a good start. All right, my first choice from today is from my beloved Jethro Tull. And I actually had a couple contenders here, but this one has been my least favorite song. I think it's musically, it's actually not too bad. But man, when the lyrics go something like this: hot mango flush, ladies with ice cream hair, gyroscopic pink neon beams, everybody's happy about something. The crowd moves like a flock of starlings. The switch direction is one. Jive on the jukebox, jack the joker, split the night air with whoop and holler, hot mango flush from .com. Ridiculous song. Absolutely ridiculous song. I wish it was an instrumental, because musically it's kind of cool. But man, I hate everything about it. Just no good. No good.
You know what's more shameful about that song?
What's that?
They used to play it live all the time.
I know. It's like,
why are you wasting my time with this shit?
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good.
It was terrible. Yeah, I agree with you. Cheers.
Yeah. Not good. I remember when this album first came out and I heard, because there's a couple good songs on here. I'm not a big fan of this album to begin with, but I remember hearing that and I'm like, musically it kicks off. I'm like, oh, this is kind of interesting. And then he starts singing, then you're listening to the lyrics, you're like, the fuck is this, right? So yeah, I don't get it myself, but hey, whatever. If there's people out there who love it, that's totally cool. I don't, but on to Ken, what do you got?
Well, this show really is about like low-hanging fruit, right? I mean, because these are the tunes that they really stick out like sore thumb. So I'll go from Genesis, and then there were three, which in itself is kind of like a half-assed album. I mean, it's neither fish nor fowl. Genesis didn't really know what they wanted to be at this point. But I guess we'll call it a prog band. They were still a prog band, and that was still, for me, Genesis kind of stopped at Duke. Duke, I think, was actually a little better than this album. But the track on here that I really hate, and I've hated from the day I bought this album when it came out, was Follow You, Follow Me. That is just, that's some limp-wristed shit, I got to tell you. That is just, it's a nothing song. And it killed them because it became a huge hit. And it was like, okay, we see the light. Now, give me more. And yeah, I mean, it was just, there's some,
set up by Your Own Special Way, don't you think?
You know what? Your Own Special Way was a better song than Follow You.
I agree. But I think that could have been like the setup of
there is some, there very poor placement of the gem sticker, by the way, right over
wow. Somebody drunk.
But there are some good songs on the album. It's like I said, it's kind of a half-assed album because when I listen to this album, I just listen to where Steve Hackett should have been playing on it, and how much better it would have been if Steve was playing on it. He would have turned something and turned it into something. But like Burning Rope is a pretty good tune. There's some decent stuff on here. It was a disappointment because Rutherford, I don't think much of him as a guitar player, but yeah, I mean, it's all right. But Follow You, Follow Me.
My stinker on that one's got to be Say It's All Right, Joe. I cannot.
Say It's All Right, Joe. That was that one on here also?
It's right before. No, actually, two before.
That was bad.
That's terrible.
That was bad. That was a Rutherford song. Yeah, that was just not. This is an album. I haven't played this album. Oh man, I listened to it on Spotify the other day.
Well, it just celebrated an anniversary on the 31st.
Yeah, Duke. I think Duke was a better album than this. Because when you listen, because you had that suite that had, in my opinion, again, they should have instead of breaking it up and spreading it out, they should have done it as one piece, and that's the way they performed it live.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great.
It's got that progressive attitude. Things about Duke I didn't particularly like when Collins got enamored with drum machines and things like that. But it was okay. I think
although on Duchess, that's Mike Rutherford. Mike Rutherford was the one who actually programmed that.
Well, then it's his fault. But you can point the blame at whoever you want. But I mean, but I mean, for me, Genesis really kind of ended there. I mean, after that, it's like very spotty. Somebody will say, "Oh, I like this album. I like that album." It's like I like Home by the Sea or something. Okay, cool. So they made a good song, here and there, but it's not, it's not like the good old days, guys.
Quite the same. Nope. Nope. All right, Chuck.
Oh man, this one should make Senor Lewis happy. I very rarely talk about Yes because I love the band, especially their earlier stuff. I say everything from Big Generator onward. An album that I don't listen too much because I prefer the live versions of it is the Yes album. And I remember listening to the Yes album probably like a good 10 years ago. I hadn't heard it for years. And I'm listening to it, and then this one damn song came on, and then I remembered why I didn't like listening to the album. I never liked Adventure. Hate the fucking song. I think the song sucks. Never liked it. I could see him prancing around with like fairies and all that stuff and a tutu on. Never liked the song. I just hate the song. That's my take. I just don't like that song, Adventure. I would just skip from that straight to what's the Starship Troopers. That's it. I don't even understand why that song is on there. I would even take the clapper for a second time. Just hate that song. That's my number one.
Somebody better get Chuck a cold compress.
Clap on part 2 of the SIF. Yeah.
All righty, we're off with a bang here. Chad.
Okay, well, since we're sticking with some of the big ones right now, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go with King Crimson.
Uh-oh.
And yeah, a lot of the material is safe, a lot of good, a lot of it's weird. Don't hate it. I'm not the biggest fan of Lizard and Islands, but I don't hate them. Don't like them as much as other stuff. However, and this is something we talked about recently, and I'm going back to the Construction of Light from Prozac Blues. What a fucking waste of time that song is, with the vocals and I don't know. There's nothing good to say about it. I can't even say anything extra bad because it all just blows. And yet start off an album with that? Come on.
And then they played it quite a bunch. It was such a horrible song.
But thank God they remastered it.
Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you.
Vocals on that tune are horrible.
Just awful.
So
awful,
bad.
awful. We spoke
honestly,
about that.
I was surprised that Robert Fripp let those vocals on the album. I know he and Ballou had their moments where they were at each other, but I think that's really the time Robert said, I'm not putting that bullshit on my album. And unfortunately we got it and we have to.
Was that Adrian?
At least it's the first song and you can start the record with track 2. But then again, you got to go through into the frying pan and talk about alien penises. That blows too, but Prozac Blues is my number 3 here.
That was Adrian singing, right?
Yeah.
Adrian singing on it.
Yeah, there's awful effects.
That is bad.
Terrible.
Yeah, we spoke about that a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope Anthony's listening.
It rears its ugly head once again. All right, Lewis, your first selection of terribleness.
I just want to say up front that I'm not going to talk about Yes, because that would require Yes to be one of my favorite prog bands, and that's not the case. So having stated that, I'm going to begin with actually a band that I really do love a lot. And I'm going to pick a song from an album that I have defended here on the show, because overall, I think the album has got some quality material presented in the shittiest way imaginable. I'm talking, of course, about Under Wraps. And even I can't defend a flaming turd like Automotive Engineering. This is truly what would happen if, Ian Anderson had some kind of temporary lobotomy and he felt like he joined Devo but didn't really remember which band he was supposed to be in. It just doesn't work in any level for me. This is the only song that I can say that about, that really, really makes me angry when I hear it. The rest of the record is not all of it. All of it is not great. And mostly we were talking about, drum synthesizers and sequencers. I don't get it. I mean, I don't get why you have Phil Collins in your band and you play a fucking Roland machine. I don't care who programs it. It's just dumb, right? Yeah. And you have Dwayne Perry.
Yes.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
So I don't understand it. And this particular song, I don't remember the lyrics because I sort of tried to forget them, but they're horrendous. And I don't have them in front of me to read them, but they are terrible. So yeah, Automotive Engineering, Under Wraps, no bueno.
And another thing, you got Martin Barr on that album and you can't hear him at all.
He took an album off.
Yeah.
Is that album regarded to be like a shit sandwich? I don't know it.
Yeah. I mean, I would say most people hate it. I like a lot of it. I liked it when they performed it live in Mexico as a band with mostly acoustic instruments. Some of these songs, they sounded great, but when you hear them the way that they give them to you here, it's just a train.
I would say about half of the album is not, the songs are not terrible. It's just the way it's presented
Yeah.
It's just awful. I mean, it's just way too much like futuristic synths and no guitar and the programmed drums and no flute. It's just, yeah.
Very weird. Very, very weird. But some of these, I insist, some of these tunes really do work when they're played by humans in a band context. I mean, I was very surprised to discover that, but they really do work. You know,
that album is their Weather Report's Mr. Gunn.
Exactly.
Basically.
That's a very good analogy. Yes.
Yeah. All right, George.
Wait, George is going to pick some Japanese instrumental fusion band.
Wow.
It's one that I did have to think about. Unlike what Eric said, nothing came to mind. Such is my affection for Hagen. I like almost every song they've ever done. A handful that I don't like, I think are just okay. So I really had to look, is there one that I'm not thinking about? And there is kind of one from this fine record. The final track, Bound by Gravity, takes ambiance and sparseness to a new level. I mean, there's some days I like it, and then some days when I'm just like, why is it still on? Yeah, I mean, album's over. They did do the favor of putting it last, but it's not a bad song at all. But some days, man, there's nothing going on. It's like, I do have Anthony's picks. I forgot to mention that.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Wow.
Are these real? Are these real?
They're real.
Today's April 5th. We're okay.
So number 3 is Jethro Tull, Farm on the Freeway, which he has pronounced Too Dire Straits sounding.
It's a great song.
Oh,
Yeah,
I like that song.
Yeah, me
I dig
too.
that song.
Take it up with him.
I
No
will.
problem.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hey, teach his own,
I
right?
think he just did that to piss us all off, man.
Probably.
Probably, Chuck.
All right, Steven.
Oh, well, my first problem was actually choosing the bands.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
There you go. So I went for 2 bands that people will go, yeah, he's got to choose those if we're talking favourites. And I went for one that I always hold up as one of the most important. But what I found when I thought, what do I really not like, is actually there's quite a lot to choose from. And that's quite worrying when the band is Yes. But there's a remarkable amount of stuff in this catalogue where you think, did they turn up at all? So I narrowed it down to 6 songs and 5 albums. Ended up the whole, and I'm sorry because some people will like these albums, but the whole premise of putting a live album together with studio tracks, that turns me off for a start. Okay, so this is Keys to Ascension 2. So when you do 2 albums of that, that gives me a message. The message is you don't think the live album's strong enough, and you don't think the studio tracks are very good. So if we kind of split them and present them over 2 halves, nobody will notice, you know?
Then
So
they released Key Studio and put all the studio stuff together anyway.
Yeah.
and added bits and took bits away. And but where I'm going with this one is Children of Light. I don't like it at all. It's overblown nonsense that hasn't aged well. It's Billy Sherwood producing, yeah. Some people like what Sherwood brings. I don't like the sound that he creates. I don't really like many of the projects that he helms. And I just think that this is what talented people with absolutely zero direction sound like. I've no doubt that they probably think these songs are quite good because somebody went, just go play, guys. Oh man, write a song. It just goes here, it goes there. The arrangement during the vocal sections is so lazy, it's unbelievable. It's just like somebody's stirring it in a pot. It's just an absolute mess. And the synth sounds, I like TV music. It's like bad incidental TV music. It's so bad. It's just awful. And I'm not a skip guy. I really struggle with the skip button. It's like the skip button and me are both like the positive or the negative. I could do that. I just can't press it. I have to listen to a whole album. Not here. Not here. It's just absolutely terrible. It's 7 minutes. There's 3 sections. Doesn't matter. They're all garbage. So there you go. That's my first choice.
I will go on record saying that I find all the keys, the studio tracks on both of them, put them together. I think that's better than any album that Yes has released since Union. I don't know.
That was Mind Drive was on there, right?
Yeah.
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 So that is.
I mean,
Mind Drive
not
was a good
perfect.
thing.
None of them are perfect, but I don't know. I find a good chunk of the Yes catalog over the last 30 years, just like,
Yeah, I find the songs on the Keys albums half-assed. I think there is actually potentially really good stuff in here. They sound unfinished almost.
yeah,
That's
they
probably
are.
what upsets me more than anything else. Is you put it on, and for want of a better turn of phrase, it sounds quite amateurish for such an accomplished group of musicians. They don't sound like they gave a damn about it. Not to me. I know some people really like it. So
I like the two that were on the first one. Be the One and That Is. I enjoy those two songs.
yeah, I'm not a massive fan of much of it, to be honest. It's maybe some of it's a bit that kind of new agey way that they happen to go from time to time. It's a bit airy fairy and
Yeah.
we all
I agree
special.
with you. I think the only good one on Keys of Ascension 2 is Mind Drive. I don't like the other ones, like you said.
Yeah, Mind Drive's really good actually, but the rest of it's I could have chosen any of the rest of it.
And they did Mind Drive live, right? Didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That was like
That's
a
the one
Yes
that
song.
they-
That was
That's
like
the riff of that came out of the XYZ sessions with Jimmy Page.
Hmm.
Oh,
The opening. Dun, 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 that stuff.
Makes sense.
All right, back to Eric.
so my number two, this is a band, again, they do have, I love them, obviously, we're talking about our top threes. And they do have an album I could have picked on, but I chose not to. And the only reason I hate this song is because it's more the style it's in than actually the song itself. But I'm going with Gentle Giant from Interview, Give It Back. It was kind of their little reggae nod. And it just doesn't work for me. I don't like reggae. I don't want to hear Gentle Giant doing reggae. Move on. And it's a short album to begin with. So you cut that one out and you're down to about, what, 24 minutes? the album. But I don't like reggae. I don't want to hear Gentle Giant doing reggae. And
Amen.
that's about all I had to say about that one. So that's my number two.
Complete agreement.
Yep. Well,
Yeah.
the Giant are not going to be, it's not going to be the only time we're going to hear about them today.
Yes.
So I love this band. And I know it's easy to pick on this album, but I don't want to hear Gentle Giant either doing like flick your lighter at a concert. It's only goodbye. I mean, come on. What is this schmaltzy ballad? Gentle Giant needs to do better than that. And again, maybe for any other band, It's Only Goodbye might be considered a cool kind of like rock ballad. I don't want to hear that from these guys. I knew I had to pick something from this album today, and I'm like, all right, most of this album is not very good at all, but that song is terrible. And is it just terrible because it's Gentle Giant, or is it just terrible? I don't know. It's on this album. It says Gentle Giant on the back, and It's Only Goodbye. No good. Sorry.
It's only one redeeming song on there, and it was written by the drummer. That's it. That's an awful album.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. I could think of a Gentle Giant song that's much worse than either of the ones you guys mentioned. I won't mention it in case somebody else does, but I'll mention it later as an honorable mention if it doesn't get if nobody brings it up.
From earlier in the catalog?
Yeah,
Really?
Wow.
earlier than that one, Pete.
Wow.
Hmm.
Okay. I don't know much early stuff that I don't like.
Oh,
Oh,
there's a
well,
lot of
no.
stuff on there that I love.
I mean, earlier.
Earlier.
I didn't say early, but
Okay. All right. Well,
we'll see if it comes up. It'll be an honorable mention.
there you go. There you go. All right, Ken.
All right. Well, from an album that I think is actually pretty good. I kind of like Tormato. You know, there's one song on here that I find to be absolutely insipid, and I would skip over it at every opportunity, and that's Circus of Heaven.
Horrible.
That's my number two, damn it.
Sorry.
I'll pick something else.
You want me to pick something else?
No, I have a pile here. I'll bring stuff over.
All right. Because, I mean, it would probably be fine on like a John Anderson solo album or something like that. And Howe is playing some pretty nice guitar in it, but it's just a shitty song. And when his son comes in at the end, I think that's his son at the end. The other thing is, like, John Anderson was, Luis, you could cover your ears or go to sleep with this part of the conversation, but John Anderson to me, he was good when John Anderson was like making up words, putting words together, you know, in incoherent sentences because it fit the music. That was John Anderson. When John Anderson decided that he was going to write coherent lyrics, he sucked. You know, and Circus of Heaven tells a story, and it's, yeah, the day the Circus of Heaven came to town, local folks lined the streets in a Midwestern town. Already he's rhyming, and it's like English. I don't want to hear John Anderson sing in English. I want to hear that made up bullshit language that he sings in so well.
He talks about bears and candy floss.
Yeah, I hate that shit. And then his son comes in at the end. It's just
no clowns.
It's bad. And I gotta say, you know, revisiting the album again, an album I haven't listened to. There's some really great shit on this album.
Check out Circus of Heaven, and it's an excellent album. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and I saw them. I remember seeing them. I think I saw them about 5 times on this tour. I drove up to Springfield, Massachusetts to see them. It was like one of like the 3rd or 4th show on the tour. They were doing a Arriving UFO. That was great live. I mean, yeah, on Silent Wings of Freedom, fantastic song. Fantastic song. This was not like a sellout album. It's kind of a goofy cover, you know, kind of humorous, whatever, you know, but yeah, Circus Heaven, that sucks.
Okay.
100% agree.
Can I just say that the day I discovered I hated that guy was when they opened the concert with that fucking song.
That's right. You talked about that, Louis.
And not only that, he's all dressed in white. His little midget ends. People try to pretend they liked it. And he doesn't feel that the applause is enough. So he stands there and demands more.
What tour did they open with that?
And that was the end for me. I was like, fuck this and fuck you. Seriously. But I know he's a legend for most and enjoy him. And I agree. I do believe that you made a very good point. If he's just babbling incoherently, it's almost not bad. His melodies, especially the early ones, were pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, like we talked about, like Tall Mass Retain, and you know, what is that shit?
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. You know, somebody will comment and tell me what, you know, they'll give me a history lesson, you know?
Yeah. And then the other guys.
Luis, what tour did you see what tour did you see where they opened with that?
They had the Russian guy playing keyboards.
Oh,
Igor.
And
was that the Masterpiece?
2001
I don't know, but it was somewhere in Virginia, and holy shit, that was terrible.
I don't remember that.
They had good songs, but that was the opener.
Wasn't that the Masterworks tour where they did all like 20-minute pieces?
No, they
No?
were.
No, Magnification. Wasn't that Magnification?
Magnification?
I don't remember.
I think
But they played that. I mean, I'm not a yes head like you guys. I don't really know what it was. I just went because Jeff Laramie dragged me there, and we went. And that's what happened. First song.
Jeez.
So that was a tough pill to swallow. Let me tell you.
You know, Yes was good when you sit with a dictionary when you listen to those albums, you know. But when he's singing real words, you know, who wants to hear that?
No real words, John. Sorry.
I still don't know what a Katru is, you know, but
You don't know what
Siberian
that is.
one.
Siberian, exactly.
But it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
To your
Doesn't
point,
matter.
it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Chuck, tell us how much you love the Katru.
You have any clowns?
Oh man, yeah, that song really irks me, man. You know, but my number 2 is from a band that you know, good old Eric doesn't care too much for, or George. It's a Van de Graaf Generator. You know, I tend to love this band very much. I know that I think about them and I crack up all the time now thinking about some of the words that George had mentioned about them. But it's from World Record. You know, I'm going to talk about Mergiless Part 3. I mean, Mergiless 3. You know, if they'd have left it at probably like 8 minutes, it would have been a great song. But once they start meandering on there and then it just falls to shit. And that song just, it really bogs down the album. It really sucks. That song, and it bugs me. I can't even listen to that album most times because I just listen to it, and then once Mergulus starts up, I just take the CD out.
Enough.
Yeah, I just can't take it.
Hey, Chuck, you reminded me too, because now every time, and I not a fan of Graaf either, but every time I hear Peter Hamill, I hear George saying asshat. That's all I can think of when I hear that.
A ballyhooed one at that too.
Yeah, ballyhooed. Much ballyhooed.
Oh man. I just couldn't stop laughing from that, man. but that's my number 2 from World Record, Mergulus 3.
All right. The night that George laid waste to everybody's holy grails, right?
Oh man, he just killed everyone.
Imagine
if I'd have been on too, man, because I had some winners there.
You gotta have this go by, right? There you go, George.
Oh, there we go.
George's face looked like when he listens to it.
Peter Hamill comes on, George's tonsils flare up, right?
Oh man.
All right, Chad, back to you.
Okay, well, Ken stole my number 2, so I'm substituting one of my honorable mentions in. But I will reiterate and have to say it again. Circus of Heaven is just utter crap.
Thank you.
But despite what Eric said earlier, I'm using a little bit of different criteria, and I kind of thought about it as I don't care what period of the band it's from. I'm going to the whole catalog. If the song happens to come on the radio, whether it's an AOR song or not, or an album track, would I turn it off? Would I skip it? And unfortunately, this one was on the radio all the goddamn time. Sorry to steal your tagline there, Pete, but Invisible Touch is the worst fucking Genesis song they could have made, in my opinion. There's other bad stuff. I have another honorable mention, but it's so happy and jumpy, and he's singing into drumsticks in the video, and they're running around with their cameras. I mean, I Can't Dance is goofy, of course, but this is just the me. Come on, you can do better than that. I mean, this album's not great, but at least the Brazilian and Domino are listenable. A lot of the rest of it's kind of meh. I can't listen to Land of Confusion after that goddamn video came out, with the puppets. I can't think about it without, Ronald Reagan's face, and you have Pete Townshend's bouncy nose and all that. I can't listen to the song. But Invisible Touch tops the chart for that. I just think it's an absolute garbage song. Every time it comes on the radio, I don't care if it's FM, XM, what it is, turn that goddamn song off. It is just absolute shit, and it's embarrassing. There.
All righty then.
All right.
Lewis.
Okay. So again, I'm not going to talk about Genesis for the same reason I'm not going to talk about Yes. However, I will talk about King Crimson, which is a band that I really, really love. Right. And one of the reasons I love King Crimson so much is because these guys were not afraid to take chances and try all kinds of different things. But in the, immortal words of one Les Claypool, they can't all be zingers. And they have released quite a few anti-zingers, or, turds in the soup, as it were. In particular, for me, I'm not going to go with Providence, which is the usual punching bag for most people, because it's improv, and improv can go right or wrong.
I can hear Anthony right now, Luis, going, say Providence, say Providence.
Yeah, well, it's my job to disappoint Anthony. So I have to choose something that is composed, right? Because that means that the fuckistry is deliberate. And it was a tough call for me, because on the one hand, everybody picks on Islands, right? As, Islands is terrible. But whoever says it is just dumb. I think that Islands alone makes this worth buying, straight up. So for me, although I almost chose the letters because it's not offensively long. It's like 4 minutes, out of which there's like a 3-minute improv farting saxophone that doesn't really go anywhere. And then suddenly there's a guy screaming, impaled in nails of ice. And yeah, they lost me there hard, but I'm going to give this guy a pass. However, if we go to this, which is my favorite lineup for them as far as composition and just discipline and madness, right? Dig me. Dig me a fucking grave. I don't want to hear that song.
Skip over.
And again, who am I to criticize them? Me. I don't care. It's just doesn't work for me. That is a tune where they're just being weird for the sake of being weird. I don't really think it works. And the best thing I can say about it is that it's only about 4 minutes or so. That when it hits the chorusy part, it's sort of like a breather, but then they punch you right back in the balls because they go back to the original section, right? And it's just not good for me. It, for whatever reason, this is the one song that has always annoyed me. And then whenever I play this record, I skip it. I just find it irritating, And I have seen lots of videos from shows where they played it live all the time, so they were happy with themselves that they did this. So, like, obviously it's deliberate. So it fits my criteria. And I can't defend it. I don't like it. Although I'm sure it's probably a lot of people's favorites, but
not mine.
Not mine.
Not mine.
Dig me? No, thank you.
Yep.
King Crimson.
All righty. George and Anthony.
Yeah. My number 2 is from an album I really like. Dream Theater's Awake.
Yeah.
Again, it's the closing song, Space Dive Vest. It's a completely Kevin Moore creation. To me, it sounds like something that should be on a Starbucks sampler CD. I mean, some kind of coffee house crap. He actually wrote it about a picture in a magazine he saw of a model. It's just loaded with the cliche of the day, which was samples. There's samples from like 5 or 6 different sources, movies and TV shows. It stretches on for like 7.5 minutes. It's not exactly a ringing endorsement that the band did not play it live for 20 years.
They never played it.
I haven't listened to it on the CD since 1994. I mean, probably the first 2 times I heard it just to make sure, and then never again. I'll always stop it before that song. I hate that song.
Awful closer for a good album.
Oh God! At least they did you the favor of putting it last. You can just stop it instead of skipping it. But man, for me,
Hey, you think you're listening to a different band?
easily the worst Dream Theater song, and they have Anna Lee is not very good. So for this to be below that, not so hot.
Hey, Innocence Fated's on that album too, right?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Anthony's pick for number 2 is King Crimson Providence, and his quote is, "Noise, Chad, noise."
Wow.
He can just put his yellow sweatshirt on and tie the hood real tight.
Maybe that's the reason why.
That's a good point. You should take it off and listen with clarity.
I'm
Yeah,
just
you put a-
saying, yellow sweatshirt, yellow cover. Coincidence? I think not.
Maybe not.
All right, Stephen, back to you.
Well, I mean, to choose favorite bands, I had to be true to myself, didn't I? Really, and I had to include something from Mr. Wilson, from Stephen Wilson. Realistically, that's quite a task if you're me, because I really quite like. Well, I like his solo work, and I like Porcupine Tree. I didn't go the easy route because I like No Man as well, but there are things out there. I don't connect with Bass Communion very much at all. There's things like IEM, just not my style of thing at all. So it had to be from either Stephen Wilson or Porcupine Tree. So it is a collection. It's not a main album, but this is really good. This is recordings, and it is kind of leftover stuff from various things. But there's some fantastic music on here. And then there's Access Denied. I don't need to hear Porcupine Tree try to be the Beatles. I just don't. I understand the relevance. I understand the influence. I understand with the spacey stuff that they started off with. There was a kind of tenuous link there. I get all that. This is just a straight lift. And there's absolutely no need for it whatsoever. I mean, the opening piano and the pleading vocals, it's just an attempt to be a band that they never should have been. And there's even a tom bit that goes dum 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 do 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 do, and we think that's just Strawberry Fields. Stop it! Don't do that. I mean, there are slower atmospheric sections where they kind of go, and we're Porcupine Tree, but they're not particularly exciting either. So is it awful? Yeah, kinda. Is it Porcupine Tree? No, don't do that. Don't do it. Don't pretend to be somebody else. Be yourself. I really dislike Access Denied. It's really poor on what is an excellent collection of bits and bobs. So that's my number 2.
I haven't listened to that
I've
album.
listened to that in a long time.
Yeah.
There's some great stuff on here.
I remember
Even
that.
Right.
It's probably 15 years since I played that.
I bought that at Nearfest, I think. 'Cause
Yeah, I think
I
did
have it
too.
signed. I think I bought it at 2001 when they played.
I think that's when it came out, didn't it?
Yep.
I remember Michael Piper was doing the merch for Porcupine Tree, and he had that.
Yeah, I've got 2010 on the back of here, but it's a reissue, so I'm not sure.
All right, Eric, your final pick of the day.
My number 1, I had to go with my favorite band, which is Genesis. And Chad, you're 100% right. Invisible Touch, no argument. But I had my criteria, so I said I got to go with something in what I consider their quality years. And not only saying I didn't do the homework because I thought, this stuff came pretty easy. I'm going to steal 2 quotes. I'm going to steal one from Lewis, which was weird to be weird. And I think, who said noise, Chad, noise? Anthony. The Lamb,
Uh-oh.
the waiting room. Sorry, Ken. Come on.
Live is better.
It's noise.
Live is better.
I'll say this, towards the end, it comes around a little bit. But to me, it's like, all right, we need a couple more minutes to get to the next song. It's just noise to me. Don't like it. Never liked it. I skip it. It sucks. How's that?
I think he just gave Ken angina.
I saw that. I thought he was going to fall out of his chair.
He gave me I think he gave me a vagina.
Yeah.
Oh man.
All right. Well, hey, got to be honest here, right?
Absolutely.
Got to be honest. And I got to pick on Genesis too, because
There we go.
Oh gosh, man.
I can't dance. Sorry, that is the worst song they have ever done.
Even though they've redone it.
Horrible.
It's a terrible song, man.
It's not a good album either, but that is just,
I hate the album.
man, I have nightmares of that stupid MTV video, man. Oh God.
Yeah, Phil in his jeans playing pool.
And whatever hair he had left puffed out.
I remember going to see them in 2007 on the reunion tour, which was very good. But I remember like people losing their shit when they played that, and then they went and played the medley of all the old stuff, and people are running to the bathrooms and to the bar. And I'm like, where are you going? This is the stuff we came to see, but not here in the States. They want to hear I Can't Dance. They want to hear all the songs we already crapped on. So yeah,
it's the same in the UK. Don't kid yourself. Don't kid yourself that we're all sitting here going, they're a British band. We all remember the early stuff. Nobody remembers the early stuff. Nobody here. They all want to not be able to dance too.
That just sucks.
Well, literally now he really can't.
Yeah.
So now he finally delivered on that
He
promise.
can't dance. Yeah, he literally can't.
unfortunately, yeah.
And
I wish the guy could still play
can't
drums.
sing.
Because the guy is such a
Oh,
great
yeah.
drummer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This would be the time to whip out the fucking drum machine.
Yeah.
Now
That's
you
what I thought he
can
was
at
gonna
least justify it, right?
Yeah.
It's so sad. It's so
do. It
sad.
really is.
Such a I mean, Phil Collins, everybody loves to shit on him. I have immense respect for him. He's such a talented musician, right?
Oh, yeah.
Phenomenal drummer,
Yeah.
right? And it just is really sad to see what happened, right? Where he is now.
I don't have a problem with his pop albums because they're designed to they're pop albums. They are what they
Absolutely.
are, and they're fine. Face Value, I think, was a really good album.
Yeah.
So was his fourth album, but
The
seriously.
Jacket Required was good too.
Yeah,
excellent
I mean,
album.
they are what they are, and they're very well done.
Yeah, it's just I think most of us old school fans, you can go do that, but keep Genesis as Genesis, right, and not turn Genesis.
Well,
Exactly.
that was the
Minor.
problem.
Yeah,
You know, the writing was on the wall with, and then there were three.
yeah, yep. All right, Ken, your final pick of the day.
All right, as the eldest, can I please get a minute to? I want to read the lyrics to this song.
Yes.
We thought you needed
No.
to use the bathroom.
So please, if you that'll be coming. I'll do that when it's your turn, Chet. But anyway, I'm going to read the lyrics.
Anyway,
I'm going to read the lyrics to the entire song because it kind of builds in intensity. Oh, you look so hungry, woman. How come you strayed in here with your eyes so bright on this long, hot night? Could it be for a taste of my love? Down on your knees with your face to the wall, saying, please, 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 my friend said I should call. Well, I do feel lonely, woman, and to tell the truth, I could use some company, so come closer to me. Help yourself to a taste of my love. Call up room service, order peaches and cream. I like my dessert first, if you know what I mean. Yeah, taste it, taste it, taste it. Around the maze of pleasure to the gates of pain, you're driving me insane. Take all you need from the taste of my love. I want to love you like nobody ever loved you. Get on my stallion and we'll ride. I want to hold you and enfold you beyond reason. I want to dynamite your mind with love tonight. Go down gently with your face to the east. The sun may be rising, but we haven't finished the beast. Oh, you still look hungry, woman. I'm glad you came in here with your eyes so bright on this long, hot night. Oh, you need love. I need love. Here it comes, the taste of my love. I'm going to love you like nobody ever loved you. Climb on my rocket and we'll fly over the moon, past the sun till we find the gates of heaven open wide for lovers. I'm going to love you like nobody ever loved you. Climb on my rocket and we'll fly. Now, that song was not written by Harvey Weinstein.
Anybody else a little flush? Can read that?
I think I need to
That
flush
song,
after Ken read that.
the perpetrators of those misogynistic lyrics by Pete Sinfield and Greg Lake. And the song is called Taste of My Love on Love Beach. And Love Beach is kind of an interesting album because the first 5 songs in a row are supreme stinkers. I mean, you could have picked All I Want Is You, The Gambler, horrible song. I mean, it was, but Taste of My Love, I think, I don't care what's coming after that. Nobody could beat that. And there's actually, Canario was a good tune. And I thought the Memoirs of an Officer and a Gentleman, considering what it was, that sidelong piece, I thought was okay. Apparently, I think from what I remember in Emerson's biography, his autobiography, he said that I think Lake and Palmer left in the middle of the sessions, and he basically finished that himself. But it's passable, you know. I mean, it's kind of an overlooked album. But Taste of My Love, I remember from the day I bought this album, that song, man, that gave me douche chills. And it's just it's embarrassing. It's really an embarrassing song. And those are the actual lyrics.
What Ken's not telling you is that he has those lyrics framed over the toilet in his bathroom.
Yeah.
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 It'll help you go.
I have a friend. Yeah, I have I had it printed out on 4 Kleenex. So, you know, I mean, guys, check out the cover of this album. I mean, you know, they were embarrassed. I still can't get that fuck.
There you go.
They were embarrassed. And Lake was looking pretty trim then, man. He was ready, man. He was ready. Anthony, he wanted a taste of your love, man.
Wow.
But
The Bee Gees album cover.
yeah, that was yeah. The band was really upset about it. Apparently they set up, they were showing album covers to like passerby saying, what do you think of this? And it got universally panned, and I guess Ahmet Ertegun picked it or something. I don't know. It's just, yeah, it's bad. There's a lot of bad things about this record. One or two good things, but
I remember distinctly that Carl Palmer, when he played in Baja Prague around 2001 or something like that, he gave an impassioned speech about that record.
Wow.
And he actually put it up and said, in his best Spanish, which is actually quite passable. I think he spends a lot of time in Spain. He said, ¿Quiénes son estos tres? Who are these three fairies? He asked the whole crowd. I would not like to be associated with these three fairies. And he began a whole rant about this. So I completely concur with what you said. But what made it funny is that when he was done, they burst into the next song, but they first started a piece of Canarios. Which is a pretty cool tune, right?
it was cool. Yeah. You know, part of the problem was Emerson, you know, with that album, Emerson became enamored with that Yamaha GX1, which I thought was a horrible sounding keyboard. And it was like $100,000. And he was one of like 2 or 3 people that had it. Him, Stevie Wonder, and you know, somebody else. And he didn't play any Hammond organ. You know, there's no Hammond organ on Works. There's no Hammond organ on Love Beach. He didn't. He played it with Emerson, Lake and Powell, and he kind of went back to the classic sound. I think once he reintroduced the Hammond, and even on Black Moon, which I revisited the other day, and it was better than I remembered, but not amazing. You know, at least he's still playing. You know, he plays the Hammond and he plays it with some, you know, with some vigor. A lot of these guys, they get him and Wakeman, they got too absorbed with technology. You know, Wakeman would start playing all these different keyboards and his kind of come up with some really crappy sounds. Same thing with Emerson, you know, so I don't know. Anyway,
that's great.
That's it. Tasting My Love. That was, I think that's unbeatable.
That might be the worst song. Well, Prozac Blues is pretty bad.
What you got, Chuck?
Oh man, this is you know, this is, I could have really pissed a lot of people off with a couple of my picks, but it's gonna go with my favorite band, Genesis. I'm gonna dig deep into their progressive era. So because you know there are some stinkers there. I know, Eric, that you mentioned that you hated The Waiting Room. I don't like the Lily White Lilith either. I don't like that song, but that's not the song that I'm going to be picking here. You know, I've told you about Seven Stones and After the Ordeal, but the song that I can't stand that I mentioned here many times is What Gorilla. Can't stand it. I don't get it. You know, I'm a big Weather Report fan and so, but I just don't like that song. I don't think it's developed enough. I don't think that the song is charming enough. I just think that the song, regardless of whether they played it live or they played it in studio, just doesn't work well. That's my pick. Weather Report. Genesis. What Gorilla from Wind and Wuthering. Don't like the song.
Should have been Please Don't Touch.
Yes.
Chuck, do you not like After the Ordeal?
No.
I think it's a beautiful piece of music.
But so once he starts soloing, I think the song just bogs down. Don't like it.
Interesting.
All right, Chad.
Okay, well, I had to go with my favorite band, and that band is Rush. And yeah.
So many to choose from.
There is one. Well, yeah, you can say what you will with your Take Me With Your Love or whatever, how Taste My Love. But it's not Taishan. I can actually get through that because I like some of the guitar in it, the you know, the words and all that, and the Chinese motifs are horrendous. Not a good song, but it's not Taishan. As soon as I show you the album cover, you're going to know what it is. And it's really a left turn for a pretty powerful, great album. And that album is Fly By Night.
Uh-oh. Yep, I know it
And the
is.
song is Rivendell.
Yep, Rivendell.
It's like they forgot all the rest of the music that they wrote for this album and said, oh, look, someone's reading Fellowship of the Ring. Let's write a song about that. No, please don't write a song about that. And I'll borrow a British term, Stephen, that it's so fucking twee that it makes me want to cry. It's horrible. It's like they put their kimonos on and they got a little pipe and they sat around a campfire with the just cheesy little guitar riff and horribly overt Tolkien lyrics. I know what they were trying to go for. Zeppelin had put their toe in the Tolkien thing here and there, and there's other sci-fi fantasy stuff going on in music, and they had plans. They had their own fantasy on here as it was with Bytor and the Snow Dog. Okay, their own stuff is fun. Okay, This is drivel. I mean, no one should have let this on the album because it kills the flow. You go from Making Memories, which is a really great upbeat, somewhat acoustic based song, to this black hole of creativity. Then you go into this powerful driving in the end, that kind of slow, it's great. It's great stuff. How can you have Anthem and Rivendell on the same album? What the hell is that? I mean, it's garbage. It's garbage. And I'll put it up against anything in their catalog. It's the worst song they ever did.
I agree.
Worse than I think.
It was just an early naive mistake. I'm sure that's what it is, but it's just dumb. It's complete stupidity to put that on any of their albums.
All right. Well, glad to see we got Rush on here somewhere. I was kind of waiting for that. Lewis.
All right. So for my last song, I decided to go with Pink Floyd. And Pink Floyd is one of these bands that I truly love. But it has three eras. It has the early formation era, right? Not my favorite. Then they sort of found their sound with, depending who you are. Some people think that is the best, but for me, it starts with Obscured by Clouds and Metal, and then they develop into this just row of greatness. And then, unfortunately, what I consider the lobotomy happens, and they resurface after a long time. And at the time, I was really waiting for them to do another album when I heard they were going to reconvene. So I was very excited, and I fought my way to be able to buy a copy of the album. And then when I got home, it's the most aptly titled album of their career. I speak, of course, of A Momentary Lapse of Reason. This is terrible. I could have chosen many songs from here, but I'm just going to start with the second song. Learning to Fly is, the label says Pink Floyd, but this is just some straight up AOR horseshit. It's terrible. It's fucking terrible. All right. It doesn't sound like anything that Pink Floyd could have ever done. And what's even worse is that it is about, 3 minutes longer than it should be. It just does. It's mind-boggling to me that they had so many writers, so many great musicians, so many people helping David Gilmour, and this is what happened. Right. So, I could have very easily, of course, just gone with this, the whole thing, right? But there's a reason that I didn't. My criteria is it has to be composed. These are just jams that were considered too shitty to be part of this and the Division Bell. So I'm not going to go with that. And the Division Bell is saved by the fact that it does have the title track, which in my opinion is the only song that when they played it live fit well with the older stuff. It belonged in that ecosystem in some way, right? This one though, my God, when they played these songs live, I know I couldn't drink enough beer to make them all piss bricks. So I hate to say it, but Learning to Fly, Pink Floyd, that is just awful, awful, awful.
I love it. I love the whole album.
I know, but people love this stuff.
That was like, for me, that was like the corporate version of Pink
Yeah,
Floyd.
it was.
Robotic and
It
too
just
many
didn't
cooks
have
spoiling
any of
the
the.
broth.
There was nothing to it. It just seemed. It has all the sounds, but they're like randomly generated in spots.
It was like computer generated Pink Floyd.
Yeah, I hate it. I hate what it represents. It's awful. I hate this record.
Well,
And that song in particular.
I like
so
it.
bad.
I like the Division Bell.
I
The
Yeah,
Division
really
Bell was better. I thought.
They,
It was-
like
it
they
was-
kind of got their mojo back for the Division
Yeah,
Bell.
it's a much better record, and that was a tour that I was happy to go to. But this one, no.
Yeah, I don't love either album. I think I like them better than the Final Cut. I will say that.
I know.
But I haven't listened to either one of those albums in years. Years. It's been a while. All right, George and Anthony.
Well, I'm also going with Rush. And apparently Chad and I are of a similar mind because my first thought was Tai Shan, really insipid song. But then I went and I said, it's got to be Rivendell because a couple guys have mentioned, be yourself. And what Rush is for me and for a lot of people mostly about Geddy Lee's bass and Neil Peart's drums. Well, guess what? Geddy Lee doesn't play bass on that song and there is no drums. So you've got Geddy Lee playing classical guitar, like an old school madrigal. You know, there's going to be someone that sticks up for it in the comments, but try and sell me a Rush song with no Neil Peart and Geddy Lee doesn't play bass. But I won't say that one just for variety. I'm going to go with Roll the Bones. Now, again, people are going to, oh, easy target. It's not about the cheesy, corny rap that now all the revisionist fanboys are deciding isn't really rap because it doesn't sound like Jay-Z. It's rap. It's terrible. It's the lack of song development. There's like no intro. You're almost into the verse right away. The verses are terrible. The drum beat has got to be the simplest drum beat Neil Peart ever played. I mean, it's so rudimentary. And you got rock's greatest lyricist, and he writes that chorus. The chorus is terrible. Everybody knows that I'm not going to sing it. It's
George, how much would it take to get you to sing it?
I ain't singing it. It's this.
Come on, George, name your price.
Rivendell. Again, it's not Rush. It's everything that's Rush is against. Like no song development, bad lyrics. No, it's just terrible. So I'll put those 1A and 1B.
But fate is just the weight of circumstances, George.
Anthony's got Steve Hackett, Ballad of the Decomposing Man.
Well, we all know that. We all knew that was coming.
Song that prevents Spectral from being a perfect album.
I love it.
George, name your price. Pete will PayPal you the money.
Even better, I want to hear you rap it.
It's not rap.
George, you take Venmo, right? Come on, no problem.
Terrible.
Back from the room, boy.
All right, Stephen, take us out in grand style here. What do you got?
Well, I mean, if there's a band that everyone's going to expect me to choose because we're talking about favourites, then it has to be Marillion, doesn't it? It has to be Marillion. Okay, now, we've already done a show where we shit on albums, and I shit on Marillion. I did. So I couldn't choose anything from that kind of era. I couldn't do .com. No .com songs. Couldn't do Radiation. I'm just not going there at all. I'm going in at the deep end here because I'm going for the Fish era. Now, okay, there are people here who have got criteria. You know, it's a this type of song or that type of song. My criteria is that it's shit and I hate it. That's my criteria, okay? So I'm going right back to, and what really upsets me is it's on the other side of this, okay? More specifically on the other side of this. Because the other side of this one has the extended version of Margaret or Margaret.
Oh, yes.
What is Margaret? It's Margaret, for crying out loud. Now, it's offensive that a guy that is as proudly Scottish as Fish is running about going, you take the high road and I'll take the low road. Oh man. It's a shortbread tin that's got tartan and Highland dancing on it. What the fuck is that all about? It's absolutely excruciating. And he's backed by 4 English guys. What? What is it about? It is 11 minutes of wanking is what it is. And I know it's live. And I know it's padding. I know it's because it's just a B-side and they don't have lots and lots of songs because they're saving them for the second album and all this sort of stuff. Just leave it blank. Don't put anything on there at all. Just engrave it with this song was garbage, so we don't need it anymore. It's absolutely offensive. I hated it on the 7-inch single when I first heard it. And because I'm an idiot and a completist idiot, I have to buy the 12-inch single that's got the longer version on it. It's even longer. I'm making it up.
The curse is real.
You can actually see them all looking at each other as Fishes in the crowd somewhere going, what we do now? They don't know.
Oh.
It's absolutely turgid and I absolutely hate it. That's Margaret by Marillion.
Why did you have to
Margaret.
remind me of this song?
It really is a bad song. Mhm.
That was the first
I
thing
love
that came into
Tony
my head.
Singles.
When this topic came up, I thought that's it. Because I hate it.
remember it.
And there will be people in the comments that will go, but Stephen, it's really Scottish. I thought you'd love it. It's not Scottish. It's twee shit. Thank you very much, Chad. It's wee shit. Oh man, it's so bad. It makes me angry.
Like Myers, it says that it's not Scottish. It's crap.
No, it's not Scottish. It's not. It's bullshit.
When you said you were going to pick on a Fish era track, I was like, oh no, please don't. Then when you said Margaret, I'm like, oh yeah, that song sucks.
It really does.
I forgot all about that.
I know it's an adaptation. It's Loch Lomond. It's not one of theirs and all this sort of stuff, but they still put it on the disc. They still made those grooves and those sounds are still there. And I hate them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's some digested haggis.
Oh, yeah, that's
Undigested.
what's on the other side. There's no two ways about it. Yeah.
Oh God. Well, that's a lot of stinkers we talked about today.
Mhm.
So what do you think, gents? Can we do a part 2 of this in maybe a month?
Maybe, sure.
Absolutely.
Can I throw 2 honorable mentions quickly?
Or do you want to save
I
it
have
for
one.
part 2?
Save them, Ken. Save them.
Well, let me give you one.
Okay.
Just one, only because you mentioned Gentle Giant.
Oh yeah, we do want to hear that. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about I Bet You Thought We Couldn't Do It? Wasn't that on Missing Piece?
Missing piece.
That was a shitty song. That was their
I'm
punk
kind of
song.
okay with it.
I
was
don't
like
Not great.
That was their
Right.
punk song. I didn't like it.
Yeah. I don't hate it. I don't love it. I don't hate
Yeah.
it.
It's not the best moment.
My
Yeah.
other one I
doesn't bother
can.
me.
I'll
It works
say
in
my
the flow. It's sort of
I don't
embedded in
skip
my
it.
brain. It's embedded in my brain as the flow of the record. I kind of like it.
now I gotta stop boning up on the lyrics to The Gambler.
Uh-oh, no, please. What, Kenny
Yeah,
Rogers?
poetry night with Ken Golden.
I want an interpretive dance next time. I have one honorable mention I just want to throw out there because I don't want to use it next time. I've thought about it this week. I don't want to think about it again.
Okay.
And I know most people hate We Can't Dance, but the worst goddamn song on here is that drippy, sappy song that Phil Collins wrote when
Eric Clapton's son.
Eric Clapton's kid died.
Since you've
Since
been
I
gone.
Lost You.
Whatever the hell that is.
Ugh. That didn't even belong in one of Phil's sappy later solo albums. It's garbage. It's so bad.
I don't like that album, man.
Oh,
That's not a good record.
It's not.
That's the worst of the worst on this. I mean, it's so drivelly, and I mean, it's all Phil. I mean, I don't know why the other guys why they even let it on the album. I know they're trying to sell records at that point, and they're superstars, but God, play that at Eric's house and leave it at that. Don't put it on an album. It's not for the masses. It's for Eric. Leave it there.
True.
Well,
I'm not even sure it's for Eric.
Oh.
Unless you don't like Eric.
If it's, I don't like Eric, so, okay.
You know, so then it is for him for sure. But
I have one dishonorable mention, which is going to go into the jazz rock realm. Another band that I love very much is Weather Report. You know, Mr. Gunn, once again, you know, it's just one of those albums where, you know, all the talent that they had on there, all the great drummers that they had on there. You had a world-class bass player. You had a great composer like Wayne Shorter. And then they come up with a song called And Then on Mr. Gunn. The very last song, you know, Denise Richards, beautiful singer. But that song is just horrible. You know, the keyboard by Joseph Zawinul, it's just a terrible song, terrible album. Most likely probably the worst song they ever did in their career. You know, they did some bad songs, but that song right there was perhaps just the worst of the worst. And then Weather Report.
Don't need vocals infusion.
Oh,
Before I'll
gosh.
say it again.
We could go on, but there's a whole bunch that I could list going forward.
Return to Forever ruined some really cool tunes with vocals.
Yep.
I agree. I agree.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, well. So there you have it, everybody. Songs we hate, or songs that suck from bands we love, or something like that. So it's always fun to do something like this every so often. We can't always talk glowingly about everything all the time. So occasionally we like to get a little steam out, you know, from under the ears and things. So in the comments below, please list your 3 favorite prog bands and a song by each of you don't like too much. So I want to thank everybody for joining here today, and visit us on the web. I made it through the episode, everybody. I made it through. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, of course. We're here all together all the damn time. For Stephen Reed, George Lemay, and Anthony Ferraro, Chuck Alvarez, Chad Hutchinson, Louis Nasser, Ken Golden, and Eric Porter. I am Pete Pardo. Good night, everybody. See you on Thursday with the Monsters Den. Bye-bye.
Good night.